Quantum computing is no longer a distant scientific project. It is becoming a strategic technology market, linked to national security, cloud infrastructure, AI, drug discovery, financial modeling, and cryptography. After the AI boom, quantum could become the next global technology battleground, not just for faster computers, but for control over encryption, cloud infrastructure, finance, medicine, and defense. So today, we will break down the quantum computing industry from the ground up to understand its value chain, growth drivers, hardware race, cloud model, geopolitical battle, and the stocks that could benefit from the 2026 quantum cycle. The quantum value chain starts with physical infrastructure. Before quantum can create value in finance, biotech, cybersecurity, or defense, the industry must control fragile quantum states that can be destroyed by heat, noise, vibration, and signal distortion. That is why cryogenics comes first. Superconducting processors need millikelvin cooling, colder than deep space. This makes Bluefurs and Oxford Instruments critical infrastructure providers. Next is microwave control electronics. Quantum machines and IBM research are solving low-latency control, including 7-nanometer cryo-CMOS, so signals can reach the QPU without destroying the quantum state. Then come photonic integrated circuits. Inflection and global foundries are pushing laser systems toward chip-scale optics, reducing size, weight, power, and cost. After that comes the hardware race. Superconducting remains the leader, with IBM targeting 2,000 logical qubits by 2033 and Origin Quantum pushing Wukong 180 in China. Neutral atoms and ion traps compete on precision through Pascal, inflection, and quantinuum. Photonics and cat qubits disrupt the model, with USDC's Zhejiang 4.0 and Alice and AMP, Bob claiming up to 60 times lower error correction overhead. Then comes access. AWS Break-It and Azure Quantum offer remote quantum power. China Telecom and China Mobile build sovereign quantum clouds. NVIDIA CUDA-Q and Intel Quantum SDK connect classical AI workloads with quantum QPUs. Finally, value appears in molecular simulation, financial optimization, post-quantum cryptography, 10,000-kilometer QKD networks, defense, banking, pharma, aerospace, autos, energy, and heavy industry. The key point: quantum is not one technology. It is a full-stack strategic value chain. Infrastructure, hardware, cloud, software, cybersecurity, and national power. Quantum growth has three engines: cloud adoption, fault tolerance, and sovereign defense spending. The total market is projected to rise from about $3.5 billion in 2025 to $20.2 billion by 2030, almost 6 times larger, with 41.8% CAGR. Cloud is the adoption layer. It could grow from about $1 billion to $4.9 billion by 2030, with 38.1% CAGR and around 27.12% market share. The message is clear: enterprises will not buy fragile quantum machines directly. They will rent access through QCAS, turning hardware CapEx into pay-as-you-go OPEX. Before 2028, the industry is still in the noisy NISQ phase. From 2029 to 2034, the story shifts to fault-tolerant quantum computing. Inflection targets 30 logical qubits in 2026. IBM Starling targets 200 logical qubits in 2029, and IBM Blue Jay targets 2,000 logical qubits by 2033. On the government side, the U.S. is using $2.01 billion in CHIPS Act-style funding. China is using a $17.5 billion national venture fund. Military-civil fusion, 10,000-kilometer QKD networks, and the Mishias satellite. The 2030 thesis: cloud controls access, fault tolerance unlocks real workloads, and national security funds the cycle. The quantum opportunity is massive, but the physics is brutal. There are 3 bottlenecks. First, cryogenics. Superconducting systems need temperatures around 10 millikelvin, near absolute zero. That creates dependence on dilution refrigerators, scarce helium, and suppliers such as Bluefurs, Oxford Instruments, and other European manufacturers. This is not just engineering. It is a supply chain choke point. Second, wiring. Large-scale systems could face a 3 million cable problem. Every cable adds heat, latency, and noise. At scale, wiring can destroy the quantum state it is supposed to control. That is why IBM's 7-nanometer cryo-CMOS matters. It acts like a 4 Kelvin traffic controller. using multiplexing so one data cable can distribute signals to thousands of local control points. Third, optical miniaturization. Neutral atom systems cannot scale commercially if they remain room-sized laser labs. Photonic integrated circuits and silicon nitride waveguides compress optical systems into chip-scale modules. That improves SWaP-C, smaller size, lighter weight, lower power, and lower cost. The takeaway: quantum scaling is not only about processors. It is a systems engineering battle across cooling, wiring, optics, packaging, and manufacturability. The hardware race is no longer about the biggest physical qubit headline. The real race is fault-tolerant quantum computing. Useful workloads powered by logical qubits and error correction. Superconducting is the heavyweight track. IBM targets 2,000 logical qubits by 2033 through Blue Jay, with the ambition to run 1 billion quantum gates. Origin Quantum shows China's domestic push with Wukong, 180 qubits, 92% yield, and 99% accuracy on domestic 6-inch lines. Atomic and ion trap systems are the precision track. Inflection targets 30 logical qubits from 1,600 physical qubits through scale in 2026. Pascal aims for 200 logical qubits by 2029, scaling gamma toward 10,000 physical atoms. Photonics and cat qubits are the disruptors. USDC's Zhejiang 4.0 uses 3,050 photons at room temperature, bypassing extreme cooling. Alice and AMP. Bob claims 60 times resource efficiency, potentially running Shor's algorithm with 350,000 physical qubits instead of millions. The industry shift is quality over quantity. Investors should stop asking only, how many qubits? The better questions are, how many logical qubits, what fidelity, how much error correction, and can the system solve real problems repeatedly? The winner is the company that reaches useful, repeatable, fault-tolerant computation first. Quantum cloud is the distribution layer. By 2030, the cloud segment could reach $4.9 billion, growing at 38.1% CAGR. The total market could reach $20.2 billion, with 41.8% CAGR. More than 300 global corporations are already exploring quantum technologies. Start with the Western ecosystem. Owning quantum hardware is brutally expensive. Refrigeration, lasers, shielding, control electronics, engineers, maintenance, and constant calibration. Cloud changes that. AWS Breakit, Azure Quantum, and Google Quantum convert massive CapEx into usage-based OPEX. But more importantly, they build SDKs, APIs, workflows, and platform lock-in. Then comes China's sovereign cloud model. China is building strategic independence through quantum cloud infrastructure. The ecosystem shows more than 10,000 annual patents, over 50% global share, a $1.61 billion domestic market, and Tianyan Cloud with 37 million hits. Finally, the hybrid bridge connects classical HPC with quantum QPUs. Classical systems handle the bulk workload. QPUs become specialized accelerators for optimization, simulation, and sampling. Intel Quantum SDK and OpenQESM 2.0 help developers simulate limitations and integrate quantum workflows. The new Moat is not just the machine. It is control over cloud APIs, SDKs, workflows, and customer access. The biggest number in quantum is not direct revenue. It is the value unlocked across other industries. By 2035, quantum could generate between $1.3 and $2.7 trillion in global GDP impact. Chemicals could capture $450 to $800 billion. Finance could capture $400 to $600 billion. The first pillar is material science and biotech. Molecules are quantum systems. Quantum computers could model chemistry more naturally, compressing molecular simulation from years to seconds. That could accelerate catalysts, batteries, aerospace materials, green technology, protein analysis, and personalized medicine. The second pillar is financial optimization. Quantum is not a magic market prediction machine. Its value is in nonlinear risk modeling, complex pricing, portfolio construction, Monte Carlo simulation, and zero-latency trade routing. The image highlights 100 times qubit efficiency from JP Morgan and Inflection, meaning lower error correction burden and more efficient financial workloads. The third pillar is cybersecurity. The harvest now, decrypt later Threat means encrypted data can be stolen today and broken later when quantum machines become powerful enough. That is why post-quantum cryptography is becoming mandatory infrastructure. New NIST standards, quantum-safe algorithms, and QKD all point to the same conclusion. Quantum creates upside and risk at the same time. Massive value for early adopters and a security deadline for institutions still relying on vulnerable encryption. Quantum is industrial policy, national security, and geopolitical leverage. Start with the United States. The U.S. is moving toward a state as venture capitalist model, backing strategic companies, domestic foundries, supply chains, and national champions. The image highlights a $2.01 billion injection, including $1 billion for IBM and $375 million for global foundries. It also shows strategic equity structures, such as $100 million for Inflection at a 15% discount. Then comes China. China uses military-civil fusion, national venture funds, quantum communication networks, sovereign cloud, and domestic hardware localization. Its National Steering Fund is worth $17.5 billion, or 121.8 billion renminbi, with Hefei positioned as a quantum capital. The sanctions paradox is critical. Western cooling bans may slow China short-term, but they also force rapid localization. The image points to more than 10 domestic dilution refrigerator manufacturers, evidence that export controls can create independent supply chains. On the demand side, defense and secure communications come first. China's 10,000-kilometer-plus QKD backbone serves strategic institutions like State Grid and ICBC Bank. Then finance follows, with JP Morgan Chase exploring zero-latency trade routing and risk modeling. Then pharma and heavy industry. Pfizer and Roivant for protein folding, Airbus and BMW for aerodynamics, molecular simulation, and next-generation battery materials. This is not just a race for better computers. It is a race for standards, supply chains, secure communications, sovereign capability, and industrial dominance. So which quantum-related stocks deserve attention in 2026? The first layer is infrastructure stability. IBM is the enterprise quantum standard setter, with Qiskit dominance and the 2000-qubit BlueJ roadmap. Expected CAGR is 4% to 5%, but the risk is lower because IBM is already diversified. Oxford Instruments is the cryogenic bottleneck play. Its Moat is essential dilution refrigeration hardware, with expected CAGR of 4% to 6%. The second layer is high beta pure plays. This is where the biggest percentage growth appears. IonQ is expected to grow 60% to 65%, D-Wave 55% to 60%, Rigetti around 100%, and Quantum Computing Incorporated 300% to 350%. But the reason matters. These companies start from small revenue bases. One major contract, cloud partnership, or government order can make growth explode, but missed milestones, cash burn, or dilution can hit valuations fast. The third layer is sovereign security exposure. Quantum C-Tech is tied to China's 10,000-kilometer QKD network, with expected CAGR of 30% to 35%. China Telecom operates Tianyin, China's state-backed quantum cloud, but expected CAGR is only around 3% because quantum is still a small part of a much larger telecom business. The takeaway is simple. Infrastructure names offer durability, pure plays offer explosive upside, and sovereign names offer geopolitical leverage. Quantum investing remains high risk and long duration. This video is for research and education only, not financial advice. If this breakdown helped you understand the quantum computing industry more clearly, please subscribe, hit like, and share your view in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.